Stangibelisco here. Over the years, I've accumulated quite a number of devices, little electronic devices, that I no longer use. And so they sit in various parts of the nerd castle, stashed away, stored away, just doing nothing but taking up space. One of them is a Kindle Fire. I can still read books that I downloaded on it, and sometimes I do. One of them is a Nook reader. I forget who purveys that, but both of these things can browse the web, or used to be able to. I know that the one of them no longer will look at YouTube videos because the browser is out of date. A lot of these devices, they gradually evolve out of date and they accumulate and they become more numerous. I have a lot of devices that every house has: water heater, laundry machine, and of course furnace, gas stove, all these things, all of these physical conveniences. And I've noticed that as life grows more abundant, as one gets more and more well off, one tends to accumulate more and more of these devices. A car, of course. And every one of these devices, every last one, requires maintenance. Usually meaning that you have to call a service person out, and you have to wait around for the service person and play telephone tag with their operators to coordinate everything, hang around. It takes a lot of work to maintain all these devices, and the more devices you get, the more work it takes, or the more you have to look after the people that you hire to work for you to maintain them. Life gets more and more complicated the more and more, quote, wealthy, unquote, one becomes. And I've begun to think, geez, I might like to just revert to the Jeremiah Johnson modus operandi and move out to the wilderness and live in a log cabin and burn wood for heat, poop in a hole in the ground, and pee in that same hole maybe, keep it covered, keep the stench down, and all of this stuff. All of this stuff gets to be a pain in the patoot sometimes, and the only problem is now that I've lost my health, I need to have medical facilities nearby, or else let nature have its way with me, which would mean I might not live more than 6 months. All of these things translate to, bah! I just want to get away from it all. But it's not practical to do that either. So all these gadgets, all these devices, this Windows 10 computer that I use solely to make these videos at low resolution. By the way, the reason that the resolution of these videos is so low is that this is a very cheap computer, because I bought this computer just to see whether or not I would like Windows 10. And I didn't want to spend a lot of money to do that, only to find out that I hated Windows 10. Turns out I do hate Windows 10 if it's online. It'll work okay if I keep it in airplane mode and keep the internet away from it, so it doesn't spend all of its time fiddling with itself. And but it's good for making these selfie videos where, hey, look, my hat fits in the frame, right? You don't have to see every pimple on my face. But as time goes by, I recall times when I had a lot less in the way of material things, and one of the happiest of those times was when I lived in Kona, Hawaii, in a little apartment in a condominium that I rented from some organization, and all of the possessions that I had would fit in the baggage compartment of an aircraft and not exceed the weight limit. All except the bicycle that I bought in Kona and left in Kona. Otherwise, I owned practically nothing and was quite happy because, in fact, I owned the entire Pacific Ocean and swam in it every day, looked at fish right in the face, fish that you'd spend thousands of dollars for to put in an aquarium, and there they were right in my face. And I'm ranting and rambling again, as usual, because summer has arrived to the black holes, and it's a good time for ranting and raving and rambling on the video. But I think, can you relate? Can you remember when you had much less than you have now, and yet when you look at it, maybe we're actually a lot happier and a lot less busy just looking after your stuff, and you had a lot more time to look after the business of really living? Sometimes I really wonder, what's stopping me from doing that? From giving it all up? From just walking away from it? Nothing at all is really stopping me. Except me. Stan Gibilisco signing off. Aren't you glad it's over? Until next time, so long.